Will a vaccine be ready before herd immunity is the only choice?
Does it matter if it's ready? Do people trust it? That's the bigger question.
Yeah.
A poll from Informa Pharma Intelligence, it said that, and research from YouGov, 35% of Americans don't trust how quickly the COVID-19 vaccine clinical trials are moving, and 23% say they don't think pharmaceutical companies have consumers' best interest in mind. And then last week, we had at least a third company, Eli Lilly, that had to stop their trials because somebody got sick during the trial. So it might not be ready in time definitely not ready in time for the elections, but it might be next year, summertime, who knows?
So the question, do you think it'll be ready before herd immunity is the only strategy? The answer is yes. Will it be ready before the election? Like Alito said, no. And that's a good thing. I know as one of the people who is greatly concerned about the pace of the vaccines, this actually makes me feel very good that they're finding things and that they're testing it and that they're pulling even some of them from the trials, because that shows that their process, their scientific process is working. While I don't trust that all the time the pharmaceutical companies have the best interests of the Americans in line or people in mind, normally it's all about the money for them. So if they do a calculation, they go, the risks of this product or the risks of this medicine are going to be less than any lawsuits will potentially receive. Any company does that, whether it's pharmaceutical or otherwise. They're always weighing the risk versus not. I think there will be one, and there likely will be one. I would guess in a normal time frame. What's a normal time frame for a vaccine? 2 to 3 years. So I think in that time, we're already about going to be a year in, and I think within a reasonable time frame, there will be one, and that's it.
Well, remember they were given liability too, so it's a little different.
Yeah, and they said 35%. Are you guys in those 35%? Like, I wouldn't trust it. I don't think, the way a pharmaceutical, I agreed. I don't think they will have the best interest of consumers. So I personally wouldn't trust it.
What do you guys think about herd immunity?
Well,
as a strategy?
That's a
what is herd immunity for those who don't know?
Is when enough people are already they're immune that they're not going to pass it along. But the problem is, like right now, the White House is talking about this Great Barrington Declaration that was going around. They're basically saying, let's protect the elderly and let everybody else catch it, pretty much. The problem with that is usually, or the best way to have herd immunity is through vaccination, not through people just catching it. And, there's going to be a problem because right now we have at least 5 people that caught it twice, the coronavirus twice. And there was a guy in the U.S. that had it even worse than before. So
and he was 25 years old. He was 25 years old.
So herd immunity is, might not be a good strategy regardless, by that way. And this coronavirus might be not worse, but more similar to a flu than people said. Before they're trying to say, it's kind of like a flu. Well, it's kind of like a flu because they find out that the genomes of the coronavirus that this guy had was different from the first time he got it. So that might be like the flu, where we have to be making a new variant of the vaccine every year to get, whatever different coronavirus comes out.
And guess who would love that? Pharmaceutical companies. They would love that. Let me read this the exact part of the article, Carlito. The 25-year-old man tested positive for the first time on April 18th after experiencing several weeks of symptoms, including a sore throat, cough, headache, nausea, and diarrhea. He felt fully recovered by April 27 and tested negative for the virus on both May 9th and the 26th. But just 2 days later, on May 28th, he developed symptoms again, this time with fever and dizziness too. He tested positive on June 5th and needed to be hospitalized after his lungs were unable to get enough oxygen into his body, causing hypoxia and shortness of breath. He had no underlying health conditions. The man has now recovered.
Oh, it's lucky, man. Especially, this virus, what's so crazy about it is it's everything. It's unlike stuff that we've seen before. It's the fact that it's airborne, the fact that it is highly contagious and you can be transferred asymptomatically, and that it's not just the period that you have the illness that you have to worry about. Some of these things could stick with you for the rest of your life, some of these symptoms. So as somebody with pre-existing conditions, with asthma, with allergies, with all this stuff that normally on a normal day my O2 is probably like 97. So to seeing something like this, is scary. Is why you got to take this seriously, and is we're not out of the woods yet.
I mean, it looks to me that the antibodies that Regeneron helped Trump. Like, I was really, like, you guys, I was really expecting Trump to be taken care of by nature, and like Regeneron helped this guy come back. So I'm wondering if that's going to be.
Do you really think he had it though,
cure?
Man? I don't know. Like,
yeah, he had it. Yeah, if we thought he didn't have it, I think the scene of him, those clips of him like gasping for air outside the White House, and you could see like his face, like he was shook, and exactly. You never want to hope for anybody to have harm onto them, but it was one thing where maybe him getting the disease would cause him to have a life change and to say, hey, I was wrong, let's switch to this. But I mean, the American people are responding now. It seems like every day we're seeing more polls where Joe Biden is pulling further and further ahead despite all his weaknesses. And I think it's just Trump is continuing to shoot himself in the foot. When people see he got the illness and then he's just saying, yeah, it's nothing. But you have Americans that mostly everybody knows somebody that's passed away or has gotten very, very sick. Like, people don't want to hear that. If you know somebody who died, you can't tell me that. I know a person, one of my good friends from high school died from one day to the next. He was alive one day, not in the hospital, fine. Next day he woke up dead. And it's like, oh, they didn't wake up. He was passed away. And it's just, it's when you see stuff like that, it's terrifying. So for him to experience this, it just shows that he doesn't have any kind of empathy.
Yeah, well, that doesn't work for everybody because, a mutual friend of ours actually told the story. I believe it was his uncle or godfather, whatever, the ex-cop, and he went and he had to be like put on ventilator and everything. He got COVID-19. But then when Bill de Blasio in New York was telling the cops or admonishing the cops for not wearing masks, this guy was out there talking, on Facebook from his like bed, talking crap about de Blasio, about telling the cops to wear masks, even though he was in the hospital in a ventilator. So some people are never gonna learn, man. One thing about the Great Barrington Declaration, I went to their webpage. That thing is this long. That thing has like no details. So and I saw an interview with one of the writers of it on Democracy Now, and basically he was saying, "Oh, it's ridiculous to think that we don't care about people, that we wanted to catch it. We want to protect people because it's only the elite being protected now, while the common people and the first responders and the essential workers are getting hurt." But their own declaration is saying that the only people they want to protect is like old people and people with persistent conditions, and everybody else, he's like Drago. He's not like if he dies, he dies, but they're like if they catch it, they catch it. So they have like no talk of contact tracing, no talk about wearing masks. The only thing they talk about is like testing people in nursing homes, and that's about it. They don't say anything about people, the young people that they said they don't want to, they don't care if they get it. When they come home and they have an elderly person at their house, they don't talk about that. So this plan is ridiculous. And something about this plan that I heard is, or that I read, is that it's named after a town in Western Massachusetts, which is home to the American Institute for Economic Research, a Koch brother funded think tank that sponsored the open letter. So it's all about the money, man. They want to open up the economy so people just go to work and businesses, make money. That's about it. And one of those people that is pro opening thing up is Elon Musk. This dude is like, in April he was saying, or February, he was saying that everything will be gone by April, and look what happened. He's looking stupid, but he's still against the lockdowns.
Oh, Gabe, defend your man, Gabe. Hey, what do you have to say about that?
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Okay. And not necessarily for Elon, but because the virus is so unique. Like if it was just a virus that could just, if you got sick, it kills you only, and that's it. It's not a no-brainer. Let everybody go out and do what they're gonna do until they learn. But because it's so unique in that you could be perfectly fine, you come home and you give it to your grandma and she's dead. It's like that's just, it's very hard for me to get to that point, because I would love if we had natural selection and we have people, they say, you know what, we're gonna open up, And the people that want to go out. It's like a zombie apocalypse, and you go out, and it's gonna get you. It's gonna get you. But some of the worst people, some of the people who have no empathy, who don't care about anybody except themselves, it's so crazy that they'll just go out and be fine. And then the ones who are like the ones maybe trying to stay home, trying to do certain things, they go out one time and they get a little drop on their face, and then they die.
So I guess you're not with Elon Musk then.
I'm trying to see that point, but I can't
There's
get
no
there.
point.
I can't get there.
I'll give you a point. You know, a point that they mentioned in their letter, and it is true, is that there are negative effects, especially to kids. They don't have socialization. They're missing out a lot of school. So that is going to affect them in the long run. So that's one point. But you got to weigh it versus them getting sick or passing it along, because they might not have the bad effects that an older person might get, but they could become a super spreader. I'm not sure about how young the kids and the ages, but teenagers and young adults, they could be fine with no symptoms and then pass it along with other people. But
it's not just the kids, it's the teachers and stuff like that. But one point about Gabe that Gabe mentioned about opening up, but like you got to look at the leadership, right? You got to look the clown we have in the White House, right? He's having tons of like events with all these people not wearing masks. Like 2 days after he tested, he was like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need to wear a mask." You have people that were there like, "I don't need to test because my doctor didn't test." So it's like you have already all these people that don't believe on this stuff, and this is what the leadership are saying. You are hiding the experts. You're not letting them go on TV. You're not telling them to go and really tell people the truth. So it's like, how are we really going to be as a society really believe what's happening, right? Because you can't go say, "Oh, open it up." We know human. You open up, like, let's say the clubs, and you say, "Oh, clubs are open." You're going to have 1,000 people there not wearing masks, not caring. Because, in the great state of Florida, like you are, Gabe, you already know, like, what was it? Miami opened up and they had to close it back up. If you look at all the states, we got, 60,000 cases in last month. You're looking at our neighbor in Canada. They getting ready to close fitness centers again for 28 days to try to be able to slow down the spread. And all we care about is like, open it up. But if you open everything without a plan, what's going to happen?
It's the combination of the ignorance, because Japan never really closed down, but they just all have a great amount of respect and they all wear masks because they, as patriots for their country, they care about each other, and they know that if everyone wears their mask and everyone does their part, they won't need to close. But here, especially in places like Florida, you saw, I don't know if you guys saw that Tootsie's, which is like the biggest strip club down here, they won.
No, I never heard of it. I don't know what you're talking about.
They won a court case against that was keeping the nightlife closed, and their point was that Governor DeSantis had put in his declaration that local areas are not allowed to override state law, that Florida state is open. So because the governor said that, they won the court case, which is now on appeal, but they were able to open up, and then the lines were around the block to get into Tootsie's. They're over capacity. The parking lot was full, and the police can't shut them down because of the court case that is still in limbo. They can't enforce those curfews. So it's a very crazy thing. We just need to have more respect as a country, more empathy for each other, care about somebody other than me. The people that are the anti-maskers are just terrible, terrible people. What does it cost you to wear a mask that could potentially help someone else? And if we all wear masks, we could all go back to normal life quicker than before. And then eventually, once things die down in 6 months or whenever of everyone wearing masks, maybe we start getting to a more normal. But people are so urgent to get back to the everyday life that they just put it at risk, and it's terrible. You guys see the senator that was in the Amy Coney Barrett hearing, Senator Mike Lee, COVID positive, without his mask? Like, come on. How can you be there in this room full of all the people, of all the senators or most of the senators, and be without a mask? It just, again, is they're sociopaths. A sociopath is somebody who doesn't care about anybody except themselves. And that's what they are. They literally have no emotions for other people. They only care about what's going on for them. And if this mask makes me uncomfortable, therefore I don't care if you die.
And that's what I mean. Like, this leadership, you have all these people that will be like, "Oh, that's my senator. Yay. And that's why I voted for him. And if he doesn't believe on it, I don't believe on it either." So it's like we're never going to people will always talk about, oh, well, you can't tell me what to do. We tell you to wear a seatbelt. We tell you
so I want to
smoke inside restaurants, but all of a sudden, because, Mr. Trump doesn't believe in it or the Republican Party doesn't believe in it.
Button up this before we go on to the next topic. I just want to show this article. It says Goldman Sachs warns biotech clients that curing patients may not be sustainable. And this goes to what this goes to what Gabe was talking about us being decent and human beings to one another. But here is capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, the subheadline says, as consumers question whether privatized healthcare is in their best interest, Goldman Sachs says that curing hepatitis C caused a drop in one firm's drug sales. So
there's
that's
no
what they
money
care
in the
about.
cure, there's money in the treatment. And for all the conspiracy theorists out there, that's been something they've been saying for decades, is that things like AIDS, things like cancer, things like all that they don't really want to cure it, because if they cure it, it's a one-time pill. It's a one-time treatment. If you have to treat it, and then the cancer could come back. So then we're going to treat it again. And then in another 10 years, the cancer is going to come back. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, their tinfoil hats are blinking at that opportunity.
The lifetime customers.
Carlito said that earlier, that they're going to try to see if COVID could be the new flu shot, where every year you have to get a vaccine for this. And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction that we go in.
Scary about this is the thing of the double, that you could get it and then get it again. Like that just means that all bets are off, is that there's no such thing as herd immunity, because even though everyone can get it, then maybe the next person that gets it worse could still pass it on to everybody. You're not out the water. So until we get like some really, really solid treatment that is going to be like guaranteed, then it's going to be challenging.
We get herd immunity the right way, through vaccination, not selection, not natural selection.
Yeah, maybe your savior Biden could save us.
Who saved?
No, maybe Elon Musk could come up with it.
Oh my gosh. So just to wrap this up, let us know in the comments below what you think about the situation. Will we find a cure? I think the antibodies that Regeneron that Trump received seems to be more of a cure than a vaccine, but will that become the main treatment? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe.
And what do the evangelicals think? Isn't that through stem cell drugs that were created?
The antibodies, right? I believe so.